Happy New Year's, everybody. NIKKE's commanders and citizens of the Ark. This is Commander Midwest with your weekly edition of This Week in NIKKE for the last week of 2025 and the first week of 2026. So, without further ado, let's just jump straight into it. And spoilers ahead, for this is the first week of the Ark Guardian event. So we will be going over the entirety of the Story 1. Following the events of Goddessfall, Snow White and Cecil test out Snow's newly repaired body and her new weapons. Snow White isn't satisfied though, and despite her weight reduction, she requests as many weapons as she can carry. The rest of Pioneer is not doing well, as Scarlet and Rapunzel are essentially in brain shelters for the time being. And since Eden does not have the capabilities to create new NIKKE bodies, the plan is that you will request the technology in an uneasy but necessary alliance with the Ark and Eden. Thoughts of killing the Queen and nothing else fill Snow White's head as she falls asleep. We are brought back to the past, right after the events of Red Ash and the battle with NIKKE. On top of the legendary commander and Lilyweiss being away on government business for an extended period of time, Goddess Squad ponders the possibility that there may be more than just one heretic, now that the method of fusing NIKKEs with Raptures has been solved. Internally, Snow White has not left her workshop since Red Hood's departure, and Scarlet decides to have a word with her. When Scarlet arrives at Snow's workshop, while she is of course distraught at the loss of Red Hood, her response is a lot more mature than the rest of the squad had expected, and she was not cooped up out of sadness, but rather out of necessity. The entire time she had been working on upgraded equipment for Scarlet and Rapunzel in order to make up for the loss of Red Hood. And while Scarlet doesn't like the idea of being looked at as weaker than Dorothy and Lilith, she accepts the need begrudgingly, but notices a particularly bulky weapon laying in the corner of the room. Lilith wakes up in a central government repair center. The war is not looking good, and Lilith has maybe 6 months left to live. But they have to do what they have to do to provide hope for the rest of humanity, despite that. 2 days later, Lilith and the commander, visibly frustrated, take their turns venting their frustration on an innocent wall, with Lilith leaving the wall a little worse for wear than the commander. This draws the attention of a nearby platoon leader who, at the sight of them, becomes more of an adoring fan than anything else, but lets it slip that he, along with many others, are aware of Lilith's Mecha Destructor nickname. Elsewhere, Oswald oversees the initial supplying of the Ark from afar, in awe at the amount of people and the materials. Oswald is the man in charge of the sealing of the Ark, and it is in this moment that the reality of how many lives he is dooming hits him, referring to himself as a mass murderer, if nothing else. But he always followed his orders perfectly, and even still, the image of Goddess Squad is the only thing that really keeps him together. In his distraction, however, a figure has approached him as he's working. It's Frisia, who, despite the fact she just had a gun pulled on her, doesn't seem to flinch much at all. They recall their short pass together with Red Hood before Frisia shocks Oswald by asking him to sign a Guardian consent form. Maybe because of just moments before, or maybe because he always had it in him, Oswald struggles to brush her off before grabbing the papers and signing them. A little while later, a central government worker returns with Frisia, who is understandably concerned that Frisia may have forged the signature, which we know isn't the case. And after some power pushing by Oswald to get around some guardianship technicalities, Frisia sits down beside him, and despite putting on a tough face, her being there makes him feel a little better about overseeing the Ark sealing. A legendary commander and Lilith return to Goddess Squad. After a bit of back and forth about the events of Red Ash, Lilith begins to outline the plan for Operation Ark Guardian, including the sealing of all 12 entrances and the commandeering of the Wings of Victory, and unfortunately, those who will be left behind. Scarlet has the most to say about the matter, but the commander shuts her down quick and adjourns the meeting right then and there. The rest of the squad is in agreement, but Snow White rings them in, offering the idea of a strategic retreat rather than looking at it as an outright loss, and doing what they can for the time being. Later, Dorothy ponders their situation with Lilith, who has appeared beside her, while Dorothy was lost in thought after a one-on-one with Scarlet that ended in a draw. Lilith reveals she doesn't have much longer, but still uses that time to give words of wisdom to Dorothy as the eventual leader of Goddess Squad. She sees the one person other than the commander she would want to hide the fact that she's dying from, in Snow White, in the hallway soon after. And despite putting on a show to reassure her, she can't help but beg that she doesn't want to die as she leaves. After some words of encouragement and focus, Operation Ark Guardian officially begins. And Lilith is composed and terrifying as always, but is called to assist Snow White, who despite her wit and arsenal, might still be a little bit more of a kid than we thought. Though Lilith and the commander admire her potential. On the opposite side of the spectrum, she tries to advise Scarlet to shy away from spectacular finishes and clean cuts towards smart fighting, but she's not hearing it. She's nothing if not effective, however, so the commander suggests checking in on Rapunzel. Rapunzel is doing the best out of the three so far, and Lilith only has to offer encouragement when a face we have not seen in a long time arrives, Pina, who shows up with a wounded NIKKE. The NIKKE is given first aid, and Pina rushes her to a repair station shortly after, when Dorothy of all people is requesting backup from Lilith. Short and sweet, Dorothy wants to take a vantage point, but knows she's not strong enough to clear the way herself, so Lilith obliges, and Dorothy carries on. The day goes off incredibly well, with 20% of the Ark being sealed and no casualties to speak of. A cause for celebration, but not intoxication, and the squad goes about their night as if nothing were wrong. Elsewhere, the success is enough to crack a smile on Oswald's face as it's quickly taken away by a secret report that NIKKE is being taken for research and the second-generation Grimm's models are being investigated for treason. Moments after, Frisia arrives and gets Oswald to eat with her before giving Oswald a signed glove from Red Hood and accepting that she will have to live alone still, despite Oswald taking her in. She holds in tears as she leaves, but it's the way it has to be. Day 2 of Ark Guardian begins with more raptures and an Ultra, sparking corruption fears, but nonetheless, the battle begins. The day comes to an end significantly worse, however, with results of 34 NIKKEs having died and 84 being wounded, with Rapunzel's shoulder being ripped apart by a sudden surprise sniper shot. Seconds later, an aerial bombardment follows of beam weapons. The bombing stops when a rapture, a heretic approaches, solely from above. Nothing that Goddess Squad does is able to overcome her regeneration when Lilith assaults it with a wave after wave of blows, leaving it in pieces. But another one soon appears, same as the first, rushing towards the camp when Lilith collapses, blood pouring from every part of her face. Snow White collapses next to Lilith, begging her to get up, and Dorothy and Scarlet act quickly and rush towards the camp. But 3 more identical heretics appear above Snow White, staring at her. At the camp, the commander puts up an incredible fight for a human, but is quickly dealt with, the heretic driving her arm into his side and slashing up towards his elbow as he collapses. She looks towards the camp when her arm begins disintegrating. The heretic gives one last effort and incapacitates Dorothy and Scarlet before fading into dust, hearing Snow White's gunfire as they themselves pass out from the heretic's final attack. With the first part of Ark Guardian underway, we switch over to the other content updates for the rest of our short week with Tuesday, December 30th. The New Year's festivities sent the Ark into a little bit of chaos, so despite the update going live on the 30th, we had to wait a couple days for the excitement to die down before getting a bulk of the content. But during that time, however, we gained access to the entirety of Ark Guardian, including a 2-part story, a challenge mode against Nihilister, and a brand new set of mission rewards in the event title. But similar to previous years, no event map, and instead, just an event overview screen. Keeping going on the 30th, we also had the bonus recruit opportunities. As mentioned last week, Tia and Helm were added to the bonus recruit system, allowing you to choose from an expanded pool of now Litter, Naga, Alice, Tia, and Helm, in exchange for 100 points, which are obtained from ordinary recruitments. Previously, you were only allowed 4 selections, but that has also been expanded to 10. In addition, exchange points that would have been rewarded from recruits done after the initial 400 points from last year will be retroactively added to your accounts to pull immediately up to the new limit of 1,000 points, offering 6 more recruit selections for those who have already used their points from last year. This new set of characters will be available to choose from until New Year's Eve of 2026. In the archives, last year's New Year event, Footstep, Walk, Run, going over the origin story of Rappy as we know her, and how she came to inherit the gift of Red Hood, has come to the archive for new and old commanders to experience along with its rewards. In addition, we also had the 14-day Ark Guardian login rewards, which will be live from the end of maintenance until January 20th at 5 o'clock a.m. UTC 9. Rupee also comes along for the Gem Gacha, where 7 days until January 15th at 5 a.m. UTC-9, you'll be able to select the Gem Gacha to take your chance 3 times a day to roll for a variety of gem amounts for absolutely free. For those looking for a little extra bang for your buck, the Gem Shop's first purchase bonuses for all gem packs have also returned, letting you get twice as many gems for all initial purchases of the gem packs. And to close out the day, the official NIKKE Twitter revealed the full theme song for the Ark Guardian event, Nearly White, along with the link to the HD version on YouTube. New Year's Eve was very quiet on the Ark to give you all a bit of time to enjoy the festivities and time with your family and loved ones, but we still had plenty of information on the official Twitter page, starting with the introduction of 2 new community social media events. Starting with the New Year White Memory web event. Click the link in the tweet to complete missions and earn rewards up to 900 gems. On top of that, unlocking each memory can net you up to 5 advanced recruit vouchers, and if you follow the official page and share your participation with the hashtag #SnowWhiteMemory, you could be one of 10 lucky commanders to receive a 3rd anniversary outfit swap standee. Secondly, the 2026 Fortune Draw. Take a screenshot and share it with hashtag 2026 New Year Fortune Draw to be one of 25 to potentially win a random acrylic standee as well. Speaking of gifts, from January 1st to January 3rd, commanders will receive rewards in the mail varying each day, resulting in a total of 20 advanced recruits, 2,026 gems, a 24-hour growth set, and a synchro slot, so if you have yet to grab those, make sure you do. Not included in that, but a nice gift nonetheless, we also got a calendar featuring Goddess Squad for January 2026, and a New Year's illustration featuring Snow White, Emma, Brady, and Laplace. Last but not least, we also received a clip of the New Year's wishes from Director Yu. Thursday, January 1st is when the big update finally kicked in, and we have a lot to cover, so let's just get started. First and foremost, Snow White Heavy Arms became the new featured recruited unit, and will remain so until 5 a.m. on January 22nd UTC-9 when Ark Guardian leaves. Snow White's Heavy Arms upgrade is a Burst 3 water attacker using a sniper rifle named 7 Dwarves 1+2. Her skill 1, 7 Dwarves 5+6, increases nearly 50% of her defense, gives her a small damage debuff, but also deals 42% final attack damage on activation with a fully stacked percentage of 105.6, but reduces her burst uses by 1. Her skill 2, Shades of White, locks her charge time at 1.2 seconds and gives 3 buffs. A 5-second buff of nearly 47% attack damage and 62.64% damage to parts. A 10-second buff of an additional 73.92% damage, and a 1-round buff of plus 528% charge damage and plus 158.24 sequential damage. Her burst, 7 Dwarves fully active, runs on a 40-second cooldown, offering increased attack damage and increased charge time, but also an additional 10 lock-on targets for 15 total. The same with her max ammo auto-fire ready, with the final application of 2 uses of 41.9% final attack damage to projectiles. She'll be a great addition for Water Week raids, but primarily will excel in raids that use multiple targets to lock on to, which when mixed with crown and litter buffs, can amount to incredible amounts of damage. She is a pilgrim, however, so although she's featured, she will have a lower pull rate compared to non-pilgrims, so prioritize your gem and mileage usage wisely. Snow White Heavy Arms will remain available until January 22nd at 5 a.m. UTC-9, which brings us to our co-featured unit, Rappy Red Hood, who a year later is still one of the units to look out for. Again, an overspec unit, she'll be tougher to grab but at an increased rate until the same January 22nd deadline. Coinciding with the 2 headline recruit methods, the New Year's Step-Up Recruit also returns until January 22nd, where the discounted rate of 100, 1500, 2000, and then a regular gem recruit of 3000, you can get 10 pulls each to receive a 2026 SSR selection box, excluding Pilgrims, Limiteds, and some others, but nonetheless, giving you the NIKKEs of your choice. Now jumping over to our costumes with the new update, we have a total of 6 to work with, including our gacha skin of Alice Mirham Dream. Our little Alice finally gets her own gacha skin featuring the usual new outfit, pose, burst animation, and lobby screen with the theme of this skin, as well as the other 2 past skins being elegance with a little bit of Wonderland for Alice, shrinking down and becoming trapped in a little jar reminiscent of her namesake. The next 2 past skins belong to Quincy and Emma, who, like before, show their fancy side with Quincy's Masquerade Swan and Emma's Secret Therapy skin. Both being passes, Quincy's is the event skin and will carry a 10-tier system, with Emma's being the January pass skin with a 15-tier system. Both are available for $20, but will become unavailable on the 22nd for Quincy and at the end of the month for Emma. Those with keen ears will remember that I said 6 skins, however, which means that we also have 3 rerun skins similarly available for $20 a piece from the costume rerun portion of the cash shop. Among them, we have the fan favorite Chandelier skin for Helm, the Mechanic White skin for Maxwell, and finally, last year's skin with Guillotine's Dark Tracer skin. Similarly to Quincy's and Alice's skin, these 3 will be available for purchase until January 22nd, when the Ark Guardian event ends. For some gameplay features, we had a full burst day until the 8th, and then an additional bonus reward for the daily missions until the 8th as well. The 20th season of the Champion Arena beta also opened on the 1st. From the official NIKKE Twitter page, we had a few things as well, with the official start of the Meat Fresh and NIKKE collab across the United States, which remember, all locations will be participating in the event, but the Temple City, Santa Clara, Houston, and Boston locations will be hosting official pop-ups as well. So even if you can't make it to the pop-ups, stop in and grab some official merch if you live nearby. And lastly, to cap off the New Year's Day, we also had the launch of the Ark Guardian PV event, with a NIKKE Lucky Bag being up for grabs for 25 commanders who participate in the event. Onto the weekend with Friday the 2nd. We focused on 2 main things both inside the Ark and on the official Twitter page, and that was the opening of the Union Raid and the Coordinated Op, both opening on the 2nd. Coordinated Op lasted until the 4th, fighting Chatterbox, and the Union Raid lasting until the 8th, fighting the aforementioned Doctor, Heavy Metal, Kraken, Rebuild Obelisk, and Modernia. And then lastly, we had the reveal of the Season 33 Solo Raid boss. Only one. A Water Week boss who will become available next week on the 8th. Saturday and Sunday continued on much quieter with only an introduction of the new SD avatar pictures for Snow White's new form, as well as the isolated manufacturer greetings from the livestream. I hope you all enjoy going back to learn more about the history of how we came to our life here on the Ark with Ark Guardian, and I apologize for the late video as well, just like usual, but that's no excuse, so I hope you continue to follow along and send your feedback down below when you can. For more weekly reports from the Ark, subscribe to the channel, set your notifications, and that way I can get these out to as many citizens as possible and continue pushing for a brighter future for humanity. And with that, I've been Commander Midwest. This has been a week in NIKKE, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you.